Chinatown on a dark evening in a city known for its sin. Not the best place for a retired, down and out, busted gumshoe, but hey, beggars can't be choosy enough, can they? Mills Jacko, Private Eye Noir. Recently retired, currently bored out of my mind, and there's only one cure for this kind of boredom. PLO, Pot Limit Omaha. It's a poker game where you get 4 cards in your hand, a flop that slaps you silly, it teases you and leaves you with scars to prove it. And on the river, that's where you drowned. It was a warm August evening in Chinatown. We were in the grips of a solar vortex. It was 106 degrees in the shade. We're talking triple digits. But there was a local casino holding a weekly PLO Pot Limit Omaha tournament tonight, and I was going to be there. This is the story of how I did. I wore my new black loafers, and if I do well in the game, I might even buy me a new pair of black pants. But that's if there's anything left after I pay my back rent. My landlord told me if I don't win a tournament soon, I might be washing dishes at Kim's Dim Sum Express, and she's not kidding. It was $100 buy-in tournament. Rebuys are allowed for suckers who have too much money burning a hole in their pocket. I was on time today, probably because I wore my lucky blue shirt. Normally I'm about 20 minutes late. I was on fire at first. I felt like a PLO silver monkey. Nobody could pierce my sterling armor. Life was good for about 45 minutes. So here's the first big hand I played. A guy to my left, early position, raises pre-flop with aces and a diamond draw. A lady to my right called, and I come along for the ride in the big blind. I check in the dark. The flop comes king, queen, rag. Aces to my left make a small feeler bet. The lady to my right puts in a small raise, and then I pot it to 6,000. They don't like it. The lady mucks her hand, and the aces reluctantly calls to see the turn. He's looking for a diamond or an ace. After I potted on the turn, there was no diamond, there was no ace on the turn. He decides to throw his big draw away and live to see another flop. After I potted it on the turn for about another 10K all in. This hand was a dud, but I was running good, and I shifted into fifth gear. I was playing almost every hand. The next big hand was this one. I don't particularly like it because of the 4, so I did not raise, but I was coming in, and everybody limped in to see the flop. The flop comes ace, ace, 5. I flopped trip aces. Little did I know a guy had a set of 5s. So I had an opponent, and before you know it, well, on a turn, it started to get ugly for him on a turn. I potted it on a turn. He didn't have many chips left, and there was a showdown. His set of 5s lost to my ace king. Like I said, I was running good, and I was in fifth gear. And even though we were playing short-handed, my chips were adding up. You don't get a good read on this hand, but I had a pair of 8s and club draws. Sure enough, as I said, I'm a silver monkey on fire. I flop a straight. I have a gut shot straight flush draw, and my pair of ochos are blocking anybody else from having a straight. But lucky for me, I did have a customer. Another gentleman flopped a set of 6s. I potted it on the flop, I potted it on the turn, and I put him all in, and he went broke. The man went broke with a set of 6s when the river did not pair the board. I was still in fifth gear, and I had no plans to slow down. I saw this flop, but it did not fit, So I quit. My opponent had aces. And then came this hand. The flop came 6, 7, king. I flop middle set. I don't put anybody on a king. The way the betting's going, nobody has a set of kings, and I think I have the best hand. So I potted it. I check on the turn when a 5 comes. I know my opponent has hit it straight. I could tell 100%. He potted it on the turn, and I went ahead and gave him a loose call, hoping for the board to pair on the river. The river did not pair, and I was able to get away from this hand, and I threw it away on the river. He showed me his straight, and I think I'm still playing pretty good. But I had a strange feeling the silver armor was starting to tarnish on the PLO monkey. I played a few other hands. I didn't hit them. I'll show them to you. This is a pretty hand here. This hand is not really that great of a hand, but you play it when it's cheap, and it was cheap. I missed. And things seemed to be cooling down. I was still in fifth gear. I was still playing lots of hands like this, but my mind started to wander. Is it possible that Mills Jacko was going to finally get on a run? And then I looked down at this hand on the button. Flop came 6, 6, jack. I had an aggressive bettor betting into me, but I did not put him on a pair of jacks. I just didn't. I thought he had a weak 6. The turn comes a 4, and I believe I got him right where I want him when he bets 2K, which is a kind of a small bet on the turn. I knew when he bet 2K on the turn, I knew I had him. I knew my full house was good, and I'm pretty sure my ace 6 was good on the flop. So I was going to kick back and see what the river was before I made my move. Unfortunately, the river comes a bloody king, and I saw it in his eyes. The king helped him. He bet 7,000, and I knew my run was over. So before this hand started, I had 40K. After getting rivered, I was down to 30K. That was the hand I needed to hold up to win the tournament, but it was not meant to be. So after 45 minutes, the PLO silver monkey had petered out, and the silver armor had melted away. I never won another pot after that for the entire next hour. And then finally I pick up this hand, and the flop looked pretty good. The flop came down 2 spades, and I flopped 2 pair. And this was the time to move in. I was down to 17K. So for the last hour of no hands, I had dwindled down from 30K to 17K. And if I was going to win or the tournament or even be able to stay in it, I had to catch a spade or I had to pair my 9 or my jack for a full house. It was not meant to be. The board did pair. It paired a pair of 10s on the river. The 10 came on the river, and had I had a real hand, so in closing, had I had a flush draw and a set, I would have won this hand. But instead of having a flush draw, the nut flush draw, and a set, I had the nut flush draw and 2 pair. Doesn't quite measure up in PLO. And it's always nice to have a nut flush draw or a set draw to go with your flop straight. Or you could carry a horseshoe around in your back pocket. Mills Jacko, Private Eye Noir, walking back to Chinatown.